Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Satgamaya Rudraya
That was the opening shlok. Lead me from the unreal to the real. Lead me from darkness to light. Lead me from death to immortality. It was rendered by Shogata Banerjee, alumna class of 1975. And now we will hear from Anisha Ganguly, alumna class of 2012. She will now sing a bhajan. May I now call upon our director, Mrs. Devi Kaur, to please address the audience.
Namaskar to all. This event brings great pride and joy to all members of the extended MHS family who have logged in from different parts of the world and from different time zones to be present at the felicitation ceremony of one of our alumni. Today is the 24th of August. It's a very special day for all at Modern High for Girls. For years, we have been celebrating the birthday of our beloved city, Kolkata, on the 24th. And it's on this day that we've always had our annual tree planting ceremony. It's been some years now since we started this tradition of felicitating our alumni who have distinguished themselves in their chosen fields. And every year, I use the word galaxy to describe the staggering number of star students who have been bringing glory to their alma mater. It is generally accepted that it is what students do after they leave the safe haven of their school that establishes the value of the institution where they were nurtured. Modern High School Kolkata has built up its reputation on the work of its alumni. On their part, the students say that it was their school which had shaped and inspired them. The sheer variety and range of the fields in which our alumni have distinguished themselves is quite astonishing. We have felicitated women from academia and education, professors and scholars in the disciplines of science, mathematics, statistics, and art history. We have felicitated a vice chancellor, school educators, and a civil servant from the Department of Education. We have also felicitated a writer who created waves in the UK and India after her book on Churchill had been published. From medicine and healthcare, we have felicitated an oncologist, a psychiatrist, and a physiotherapist, and a nurse too. The performing and visual arts were well represented. We have felicitated a pioneer in the field of floral art, renowned dance exponents, a famous playback singer, an internationally acclaimed film director, and India's first woman magician. Then there were the formidable entrepreneurs and business magnates, as well as the tireless social workers. And here they all are, arranged decade-wise. You can see Aparna Sen, Rakhi Sarkar, Chandralekha Poddar, Kavita Poddar, Rashmi Poddar, 60s. Then we have Kanika Mitra, Snigdha Mehta, Rajeshwari De, Srilekha Majumdar, Olokananda Roy. Abanti Gopan, Anuradha Lohia, Anuradha Das, Nandita Chatterjee, Taupati Guhathakurta, Mukta Nain. Anindita Adhikari, Alka Yagnik, Madhushri Mukherjee, Vinita Jain, Kavita Punjabi, Preeti Patel. Rosina Ahmed, Vinita Saraf, Ruchira Gupta, Sriratha Dotto, Anurna Roy. Bimbavati Devi, and Manika Shorkar. Yes, truly a galaxy. Now, some of us have noticed that the school has produced many activists, but not a single politician has emerged in all these years. We keep wondering why. Now, the vision of this school, as spelled out in the school diary, is to empower students to initiate or participate in activities, local and global, which will promote peace and happiness locally and globally in the spirit of Satyam Shivam Sundaram. This vision has found fulfillment in Anita Bhatia, class of 1979, whom we have chosen to felicitate this year. Namaskar.
Thank you, Mrs. Kaur. And now I request Shushmita Mitra, alumna class of 1979, to tell us about her batchmate Anita Bhatia.
Thank you so much. When Anita and I first became students in Wharton High School, we were about 4 or 5 years old. It was a long time ago, in fact, an embarrassingly long time ago, so long ago that the junior school was not even in Amir Ali Avenue at that time. It was in this beautiful colonial pink building on Theatre Road, and Mrs. High was the headmistress of junior school. The uniform was a white tunic, and we wore red checked aprons over those tunics. Most of us also wore laced up black shoes from Bata, known as naughty boy shoes. I was definitely not a naughty boy, but I was a scared and very unhappy little girl. I didn't know or understand enough English to be comfortable in my new school, and I didn't know how to tie my shoelaces, which were constantly getting undone. My new classmate, Anita Bhatia, quickly caught on to my misery, and each time my shoelaces needed tying, she would discreetly help out. And that is the story of how it all began. The friendship that was tied fast in the knots of a pair of shoelaces. We studied together all the way through from lower infants to class 12, not just in the same batch, but always in the same section. I think the only time we ever sat in different classrooms was when Anita had her Hindi lessons and I my Bangla classes. Anita was the star of our batch. Of course, she was very, very bright, but that was not her only claim to fame. She was intuitively bright, inherently smart. She didn't require the long hours of study and revision that most of us did. It was quite a breeze for her, and the remaining hours, all those extra ones that she didn't need to put into studying, were used for drama, debate, elocution, games, art, etc., and more etc. What I didn't recognize then, but can identify now, is her ability to connect with people. In this too, she was intuitive. It would have been so easy for her to be the arrogant cherry on the class cake who interacted with just a handful of girls who were like her. But in every class she studied in, she was among the best liked girls, both by the teachers and by our peers. She wore her successes very lightly and was the most helpful and supportive girl in class. And when I say this, I'm not talking about myself. I was one of her closest friends, and it was a given that she would be there for me. I am talking about her reaching out to and connecting with every single girl in class. Mrs. Wilson DeRose was the principal of Modern High School through our school years, and all of us who've studied in school through the Willie years knows that she referred to all her girls as darlings. And I distinctly remember a special roll to the R, a special touch of affection, of pride, of indulgence, when the darling in question was Anita Bhatia. Every year, the school would stage one of Shakespeare's plays in Kala Mandir. It was directed by Mrs. Shudoshana Bakchi and her daughter, Mrs. Zachariah. Our batch did As You Like It. Anita was Rosalind and I was Celia. We had 2 changes of costume each, and Anita had a 3rd change into a wedding gown for the last scene. Without my having said one word about it, she realized I was eating my heart out to wear a wedding gown too, and quietly went and requested Mrs. Bakchi that I too should get a chance to change for the last scene. These are her greatest strengths, and I'm sure that these are the qualities that have taken her to where she is today. She talks to the heart and is able to connect with what is most important. The shoelace friendship was very strong and robust, and 1,000 memories have been created over decades. Now we live continents apart and haven't met in years. In fact, when we just met on the Zoom meeting, we both said that, oh, thank God we haven't changed. We would still be able to recognize each other if we bumped into each other. So although we live continents apart and haven't met in years, the shared memories that we made together have an important place in both our hearts. And I know I couldn't have asked for a better occasion to come back to school, and I couldn't have asked for a subject closer to my heart to talk about. Thank you.
Thank you, Shushmita. That was delightful. May I now call upon our current head girl, Mayukhi Ghosh, class of 2021, to introduce Ms. Bhatia to all those who are virtually present.
Anita Bhatia of the class of 1979 was head girl of Modern High School for Girls in class 10. She was not only academically brilliant, but her batchmates remember her as a fun-loving, vivacious girl who was extremely talented and had varied interests. She was an active member of the MHS Guide Company and recipient of the President's Guide Award, now known as the Rashtrapati Guide Award. She was an all-round achiever, keenly interested in public speaking, debating, and dramatics. She studied history at Loreto College, where she left a mark as an outstanding student. She pursued her higher education in the United States and holds a Master of Arts degree from Yale University and a Juris Doctor in Law from Georgetown University. Ms. Bhatia joined the World Bank, where she had a distinguished career serving as Director of Global Partnerships for the International Finance Corporation. She successfully supported IFC strategy in key areas, including fragile and conflict-affected states and gender equality. On 30th May 2019, Ms. Bhatia was appointed Assistant Secretary General for the United Nations for Resource Management, Sustainability, and Partnerships, as well as Deputy Executive Director at UN Women. She has been working tirelessly for the achievement of sustainable goals as she brings with her experience of working in different parts of the globe. Here we have a picture of Ms. Bhatia with former Secretary General of the United Nations, Ban Ki-moon. Among her innumerable moments of glory, perhaps one memorable one is when she appeared in Times Square, New York, at the iconic bell ringing ceremony held at NASDAQ. Among her impressive achievements as a career woman, Ms. Bhatia remains extremely committed to her family. She never missed a single opportunity to fly down to Kolkata to be with her father, even if it was just for a weekend. On the right, we have a picture of Ms. Bhatia along with her sister, Sabina, also an alumna of Modern High School for Girls, and her mother was also a teacher. It is hard to believe how even now she finds time to pursue her innumerable interests, which range from planting herbs in her garden to cooking to traveling to exotic places and even going to the opera. Modern High School for Girls is proud to felicitate Miss Anita Bhatia as an outstanding alumna. Thank you.
And now, our chairperson, Mrs. Nirmala Birla's message to Anita is on the slide. Steadily over the years, our students have been bringing glory to their alma mater. I am proud to hear of Anita Bhatia's achievements. She certainly deserves the honor that the school is about to bestow on her. And now, for that special moment that we have all been waiting for. May I call upon our director, Mrs. Kaur, to hold up the award. You can see on the slide the words that are inscribed on the award. They are taken from our school song. And now, I will call upon Anita Bhatia to say a few words.
Thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Distinguished Mrs. Birla, Mrs. Mukherjee, Mrs. Kaur, dear Shushmita, it is with great humility and deep gratitude that I join you here today from New York City. Let me just say that I find myself overwhelmed by a multitude of feelings. This wonderful ceremony, in one fell swoop, has transported me down memory lane. And it seems just yesterday that we were tumbling out of our buses, gathering our books, and walking. Yes, walking, because running wasn't allowed, walking down the marble corridors of Modern High School. And even though decades have passed since those days, Modern High School remains very dear and near to me. And it remains very near and dear to me, not because you are felicitating me today, but because it has given me many gifts. So let me speak today of 3 of those gifts, for which I want to extend my deepest thanks and my gratitude to Modern High School. So the first gift that I want to talk about is the gift of education and the quality of the education that I received at Modern High School. I think it is unrivaled by any in the world. How can I ever forget how the inimitable oratory of Mrs. Bagchi made Shakespeare's characters come to life? How can I forget how historical figures leapt out of the textbooks thanks to Mrs. Chanda Bose? How can I forget the mad escapades that we had as girl guides with Miss Neena Singh and Miss Narayan Swami? And how can I forget the secret pact that I had with Mrs. Supriya Roy, our librarian, who would always give me more books than I was supposed to get officially, because she knew, and this was a secret that harmed nobody, but it was our little secret, because she knew that at night, when my mother had switched off the lights, I liked to read with the torch. And so she let me take more books out than I was allowed to. How can I forget any of these wonderful things that Modern High School gave me? So thank you, Modern High School, for the gift of a fantastic education. Thank you, Modern High School, for another gift, and that gift is the capacity for hard work. Of course, this capacity for hard work has come because Modern High School gave us copious amounts of homework. And while we may have resented it in those days, it has stood me in very good stead all my life. I do not think I would be where I am today, nor as a person, nor as a leader, if it had not been for the discipline and the focus that Modern High School instilled in me. Will I ever forget waking up bleary-eyed to study advanced Hindi literature or my Sanskrit declensions and conjugations? Gaj Gajao Gajam will remain seared in my brain forever. And there were times in my life when I had to draw upon the most deep and innermost sources of strength and resilience. I remember there was a time when I was working full time, expecting my first child, and I decided that since that wasn't enough work, I should also go to law school. So there were times when it was difficult, and I don't think that I would have succeeded at doing those things and many other things if it hadn't been for the discipline that Modern High School taught me. So thank you, Modern High School, for that gift. And the third gift that I want to thank Modern High School for is the gift of community and the gift of friendship and family. When my beloved mother died just before my high school exams, she left me and my sister bereft and untethered. It is a terrible thing to lose a mother at a young age. It is a terrible thing to lose a mother and a parent at any age, but it is particularly hard when you are a teenager. And Modern High School's family opened up for me. The teachers were like family. And my friends, my dear, dear friends, with whom I have such deep bonds, going back decades. You just heard and saw some of those in the most wonderful speech from Shushmita. But there were many other friends as well, and I've never had a chance to thank you. So let me do it today. Thank you to you, my dear friends, to Mita, Rita, Dati, Malika, Kumud, Pampu, of course, and so many others. You held me at those most difficult of times. I will never forget that. You were there for me then, and you are there for me now. So for that gift of family and community, thank you, Modern High School. Modern High School is a school
Mrs. Mukherjee, we would like you to please give the vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. And heartiest congratulations to Ms. Bhatia. Anita Bhatia, you are no stranger to awards, accolades, citations. But I'm sure that this felicitation by your alma mater will be tucked into a very special, warm corner of your heart. You have made a choice to make a difference. You have made a choice to make a difference to the world, to communities, and to issues beyond your immediate and your familiar. And therefore, you are a role model to our gender and for modernites, past, present, and future. May you remain blessed. It's my pleasure to thank Mr. Ratan Postwala for the technical expertise he brought into today's program. Mr. Postwala, you are a true friend of Modern High School. I thank Mrs. Amita Prasad and Ms. Vinita Saraf for helping with today's program. Our alumni are our joy and our strength. We are fortunate to be inspired and motivated by Mrs. Birla's enthusiasm for every school event, including today's virtual felicitation ceremony. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Mrs. Mukherjee. Since the speech was interrupted, may I please request Ms. Bhatia to continue with her speech? I'm sorry about the interruption. All right. I think we lost Ms. Bhatia there. We will now have the school song. Choitali Ganguly, alumna class of 1986, will be playing on the keyboard. Do join in from wherever you are.
Oh, school in which we live, our lives were persistent. May we be ever worthy of what thou hast bestowed. We pledge ourselves to serve thee, bring honor to thy name, and all the lands of Bharat may echo with thy fame. O land of Bhagavad, the eightfold path we trace. O land of great Ashoka, that her Navy embrace. O land of the Mahatma, to thee we dedicate ourselves, our hopes and wishes, our lives we consecrate. O teachers of our order, to be both pure and true, that we may ever serve thee in grace and virtue too. Shed the pure light of learning and ignorance despair. O teachers and our order, to ever do things well. O land of Bhagavad, the eightfold path we trace. O land of great Ashoka, that her Navy embrace. O land of the Mahatma, to thee we dedicate ourselves, our hopes and wishes, our lives we consecrate.
Thank you so much. I'm back. I lost the connection for a while. And if time permits, I would just like to say a few concluding words.
Please, Ms. Bhatia. Ms. Bhatia, go ahead.
Thank you so much. I wanted to say that I think modern high schools education is very special because it provides what I think is very needed in the world today, which is models of female leadership. As we have seen through the pandemic, our world has been turned upside down, and women are at the center of this crisis. The frontline health workers in pandemic are women. 72% of the nurses in the world are women. And yet, women continue to be underrepresented in all aspects of leadership. Less than 10% of the heads of state in the world are women. Less than 10% of the heads of government are women. Less than 24% of parliamentarians worldwide are women. And women continue to face discrimination in pay. Even in the US, a woman earns 77 cents to every dollar earned by a man. And while many of us may be very privileged and never feel any sexism or discrimination, we know that actually women can suffer a great deal when they are not given equal opportunity, and most importantly, when they are not given an education. What I love about modern high school and what I think is so important about an all girls and single gender education is that girls in all girls schools leave with models of strong female leadership. And they believe, just as I did, that the world is their oyster and they can do anything. They can do anything. That is something that modern high school instilled in me, and I know continues to instill in the girls and women who came after me. For that, I give deep thanks. I also want to say that the problems that the world faces today, the existential threats of climate change, the erosion of democracy, the erosion of liberal values, the erosion of secularism, require a new kind of leadership. Is it any surprise that the countries that have done the best job in dealing with this pandemic are countries run by women? Germany, New Zealand, Finland, Taiwan, among others. We need more female leaders. We need women at the table making decisions, influencing policy, and changing lives. And I'm so proud to be part of the family of Modern High School, because every day Modern High School produces leaders who are capable of doing just that. I am so deeply grateful to have been recognized today, and I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to all who made today's ceremony possible. Thank you, Mrs. Birla, Mrs. Mukherjee, Mrs. Kaur, Shushmita, Amita, and Vinita. I know that without all of your hard work, this would not have been possible. And I also want to give a special shout out to my younger sister, Sabina, who I hope is still able to join. I know she had a meeting. She is the Deputy Corporate Secretary of the IMF and another wonderful leader that Modern High School produced. And there are many more like her. Modern High School, you have done a wonderful job in giving girls and women an opportunity to realize their full potential. Of course, some of this also came from my family. My mother was an educator. She herself was a high school teacher. And my father was a feminist because he believed there was nothing more important than his girls' education. So, of course, I would not be here today if it was not for my parents. But that combination of the right values in my parents and the right values instilled in me by the school are responsible, along with my community of family and friends, for who I am and where I am today. For that, I can only say a deep, deep, heartfelt thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Bhatia. And now let's stand for the national anthem.